5 parallels between Ireland and Puerto Rico. There are many historical and political parallels between Ireland and Puerto Rico. Here are the 5 most notable ones. Colonialism. Foreign powers have colonized Ireland and Puerto Rico for hundreds of years. The colonization of Ireland started in the 12th century with the Anglo-Norman Invasion advanced by King Henry II, which resulted in England's rule over Ireland. Britain's sovereign control persisted for the subsequent 800 years and continues to the present day, although to a lesser extent. This is due to the fact that despite the establishment of an independent republic in approximately 83% of the Irish territory, Britain has retained control of 6 counties in the north of Ireland. The colonization of Puerto Rico, on the other hand, started much later than in the Emerald Isle. This is, in a sense, the reason why it might be said that Puerto Rico is lagging behind Ireland in its efforts to eradicate colonialism. Puerto Rico was conquered by the Spanish Empire in the 16th century. Spain remained as its colonial ruler until 1898, when the United States declared war on Spain and invaded Puerto Rico. From that day onward, the United States has maintained Puerto Rico as a colonial possession. Independence movements. Ireland and Puerto Rico have resisted foreign domination since the very beginning of their colonization. In Easter 1916, Irish patriots struck for freedom. They staged an armed uprising where they issued the proclamation of the Irish Republic. Although the uprising failed from a military standpoint, the 1916 proclamation became a foundational document for anti-imperialist movements worldwide. The 1916 proclamation had an immense influence on the Puerto Rican independence movement, particularly on Pedro Albizu Campos, leader of the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party. The proclamation contained several concepts that are fundamental to Ireland's and Puerto Rico's struggle. First, the proclamation sees independence as a fundamental right. This right to independence is at the core of the struggle of all those who are colonized. Therefore, the pursuit of sovereignty ranks higher in importance than any plea for civil rights made under the laws of the colonial power. Another vital principle asserted in the 1916 Irish Proclamation maintains that the right to the independence of a nation is an inalienable right. The proclamation states, "The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people." In Puerto Rico, this principle has been widely espoused by all pro-independence leaders, particularly by Albizu Campos, who declared that Puerto Rico's right to independence could never be forfeited by the passage of time or by the actions of the lackeys of U.S. colonialism. The Free State and the Associated Free State. Another parallel between Ireland and Puerto Rico is the creation of in-between political status alternatives, the Irish Free State and the Associated Free State of Puerto Rico. The Irish Free State was created in 1922. The goal of this Irish political status was to give the impression that a middle ground or compromise had been reached between the colonial status and full independence. The Irish Free State was not an independent republic. It had major colonial constraints. Sovereignty and foreign policy matters were left in British hands, and members of the Irish Parliament were required to swear allegiance to the British Crown. Ireland eventually became a republic in 1937. However, 6 counties in the north remain in British control. In Puerto Rico, the US copied the term Free State from the British. It was an embarrassment for a country like the US to have a colony, and what better way to disguise it than by changing the name of the government that ran the colony. Of course, the US did some minor paraphrasing, but there is no doubt that the term Estado Libre Asociado, which literally translates into Associated Free State, came from Ireland. Although the name Estado Libre Asociado was not adopted until 1952, according to constitutional law scholar Rafael Cox Alomar, the US started contemplating using the term Free State when it was proposed by US Congressman Philip Campbell in 1922, the same year as the adoption of the Irish Free State. Huge diasporas. Another parallel between Ireland and Puerto Rico is that both nations have very large diasporas. Ireland has a population of approximately 5.4 million, and there are over 50 million people throughout the world who claim Irish descent. Puerto Ricans on the island number 3.2 million, and 6 million live abroad. Colonialism is the common reason why Irish and Puerto Rican diasporas are enormous. The colonization process always tends to cause the impoverishment of those who are colonized and their eventual displacement from their homeland. For example, in Ireland, its native populations were displaced by the land confiscations by the British in the 17th century and by the willful neglect of its people during the Great Famine of 1845. In Puerto Rico, the devaluation of the Puerto Rican peso by the US after the invasion caused widespread poverty and forced local landowners to sell their land to US sugar companies. By 1921, 51% of Puerto Rico's wealth was in foreign hands, and close to 60% of its people lived in abject poverty. Today, many Puerto Ricans living in the diaspora ask what role they can play in their nation's political situation. Perhaps they can look to the Irish diaspora for inspiration. There are numerous historical examples of the Irish diaspora's contributions to the fight for independence. Here are three noteworthy ones. In 1916, more than 50 combatants from Liverpool went to fight in the uprising in Dublin, including Joe Gleason, the man who raised the Republican flag over the post office. Another example is that of Thomas Clark, who was born in England and became the first signatory of the Irish Proclamation for Independence. And the third example is none other than that of the great hero Michael Collins, who lived in London for over 10 years. Cultural repression. Colonialism has tried to erase Irish and Puerto Rican culture. For example, upon invading Puerto Rico, the US changed the name of the island and anglicized it to Puerto Rico. The name change was just the beginning of an Americanization campaign. Children were forced to speak English in schools and celebrate United States traditions. This led to widespread resistance from students, teachers, and political leaders. Juan Antonio Corretjer, who became one of Puerto Rico's major poets, was expelled from high school in the 1920s for leading student protests against the imposition of English in schools. Thanks to heroes like Corretjer, attempts to erase Puerto Rican culture were mostly unsuccessful. Today, Spanish, and not English, is the language spoken in the street in Puerto Rico, and all official affairs, such as court proceedings and legislative deliberations, are strictly conducted in Spanish. Attempts to repress Irish culture started early on. British laws passed more than 200 years ago, like the Statutes of Kilkenny, and the penal laws suppressed Irish language and culture. This nearly eliminated the Guelga, or Irish language. In 1911, only 17,000 native speakers remained. Fortunately, the Irish language is now undergoing a revival. Catherine Connolly, the Irish president, has said that Guelga will be the language of her office. Nowadays, Guelga resonates strongly with the youth, with popular rap groups like Kneecap, and with all of those who wish to see the Republic of Ireland unite with the 6 counties in the north. As the rap group Kneecap says, every word of Irish spoken is a bullet fired for Irish freedom. The road ahead: a united Ireland and an independent Puerto Rico. The parallels between Ireland and Puerto Rico reveal numerous valuable lessons. Undoubtedly, the most important lesson to learn is that all colonies must advocate for their sovereignty. Today, the Republic of Ireland is a very wealthy nation with one of the highest GDPs per capita in the world. It is hard to believe that right after independence, it was a very poor nation. Now, it is significantly richer and has a higher standard of living than the 6 counties in the north that were left under British rule. Imagine the potential that a united Ireland could unleash. Puerto Rico, on the other hand, can learn a great deal from Ireland's struggle against colonialism. The transformation of Ireland serves as a powerful example of how independence eventually leads nations to economic prosperity. By embracing its unique national identity, Puerto Rico can carve a path towards a self-reliant economy. Much like Ireland, Puerto Rico has the potential to harness its resources and talent to create a flourishing economy that benefits all of its citizens.